Good morning. Welcome to today's webcast on SUNY HR time and attendance system for classified employees. My name is Christine Priest. I am the training coordinator for faculty and staff here at the university. I'm joined by several of my colleagues, Marissa Mabey, the benefits manager, Eileen Masisa, the business analyst, Catherine Purse, time and records leave administrator. We'll be presenting this session in two parts. First, it will be TAS for employees, time and attendance for employees, and then we'll be doing time and attendance for supervisors, and we'll be discussing the approval of time for your staff. Everyone is welcome to stay on the call on the webinar for the entire session, but we'll give a chance to those employees who want to end after their piece. We'll allow them to leave during that part. Just so you know, everybody out there is muted. So you'll be able to hear us, but we will not be able to hear you. However, you do have an opportunity to ask any questions that you would like. On your dashboard on your screen on the right-hand side, there's a section that is titled Questions. If you click on the small arrow next to the questions, the word questions, it will open up and you can then write your questions right in there. We're going to try to answer all the questions that we can as we go through today. But if you have additional questions, please feel free to reach out to our benefits office to find out more. We're going to address, as I mentioned, we're going to address the questions, but just so you know too, this is also going to be recorded for future use or future reference. So if you are listening to this as a recorded session, please note to disregard any dates if you're viewing that recorded session, and pay attention to the dates that were sent to you via email about your dates for using the system. There's also going to be a sample time record that you'll see on HR's website in the toolbox, so please feel free to look at that. And if you want more information later, you'll be able to view that and print it out for your review. So now I'm going to turn it over to Catherine to begin the presentation.
Thank you, Christine. Good morning, everyone. Let's kick this off so we can get to our break sooner rather than later for the holiday weekend. All right, so first we're going to go over the agenda about some of the things we're going to discuss today, and you guys are going to learn about the new time and attendance system. We're going to go over logging into the SUNY HR portal, navigating your time record, time entry, recording time off, non-chargeable leave and family medical leave, or otherwise known as FMLA, saving, submitting, and withdrawing requests for time off, submitting your time record, reviewing your time records history, holidays, and time records contact information. The SUNY HR time and attendance system, otherwise known as TAS, is an electronic time recording system that is replacing the current paper process we have in place. At this time, TAS does not apply to uniform employees within UPD, hourly employees, and employees who punch a time clock. The paper process covered 2 biweekly time periods or 4 weeks. TAS reporting periods cover 1 biweekly period or every 2 weeks. You will be notified by time records when you should stop submitting paper time records and start using TAS. I believe emails were sent out already earlier this week, so you should already have access to TAS. Notifications will come to you via email, so please watch for them. These notifications come each night when they are applicable and will come from the email address donot.reply@suny.edu. Again, that email address is donot.reply@suny.edu. These emails will prompt that your attention is needed. You will need to log into the system to see what action is necessary. Some notifications may be sent as duplicates. However, we always suggest going into the system and checking again to make sure all actions were taken. In the past, when you submitted paper timesheets, you submitted every 4 weeks. Now you'll be submitting every 2 weeks. Logging into the SUNY HR portal. To get to SUNY HR portal, use the link www.suny.edu/HR portal. We suggest bookmarking this link so you have it readily available to you whenever you need to get into it. Once you're there, you'll select Albany from the drop-down menu for the campus field. Your username and password are the same as when logging into your campus email, otherwise known as your NetID and password. Please contact the ITS Help Desk at 518-442-3700 if you do not know your NetID and password. Once you've entered your username and password, click Login. Logging into the SUNY HR portal, click on the time and attendance link located in the self-service box. This is the icon with the pen and pencil in the cup that you can see on your screen. For security purposes, you'll be asked for your date of birth. Next, select your current employment role and click the time and attendance button. An example of what this looks like is on your lower right-hand corner of your screen. Navigating your time record. Once you log in, this will be the page you're directed to. This is your actual time record, and you will use the buttons below your name to navigate through the system. I'm going to give a brief overview of each link located below your name, and we'll go over each in greater detail as we go along. History. Once you have been using TAS, you'll be able to look at your old time records by going to the History tab. Request time off. This is pretty self-explanatory, but this is where you will go to request your time off. Work schedule. Please do not use the work schedule button. Your work schedule for the purposes of this system will be maintained by the time records department. Please reach out to time records if there are any major changes made to your schedule. For example, if you are changing your past days or starting to work nights instead of days. Time entry, some important tips and things to remember. To access your time entry, select the time record link located below your name. Make sure that you are in the correct 2-week period, and if you are not, change the reporting period by using the drop-down box located under the accrual period. Once this is done, make sure to click the Change Period button after making your selection. Log in and update your time record daily, including your time in and time out. Our next point is extremely important. Always enter A for AM and P for PM, otherwise the hours worked will not calculate correctly. Lunchtime, both in and out, need to be recorded for each day. However, breaks do not need to be recorded in this system. Each individual time entry should be made in the first available in and out column. You should start on the furthest left column available and work towards the right. Some additional time entry tips and things to remember. Use the tab button on your keyboard or your mouse to move from field to field when entering time worked. Using the return and enter button may result in time record errors. Here are some things to consider when completing your time record. Time off, holidays, extra time worked, and overtime will not appear on your time record until the date occurs or the time record is complete. The reason why the system will not calculate your comp time and overtime until your entire time record is complete is because the system adds up your time worked to reach your set schedule, 37.5 or 40 hours. Once you record your full hours for the week, the system will allow appropriate comp time and overtime to be awarded. Accrual balances will appear in real time, and you'll be able to see your usage and accruals as you enter them. This is a great tool for planning future time off. Please note that accruals will now be awarded every 2 weeks rather than every month. Although the system will allow you to, do not enter hours worked if you are requesting those hours off. Once you have completed your record, review it to be sure it is accurate. Double check your hours worked, comp time, overtime, and charge time to make sure they all add up to what you think they should. Then make sure to save your work before you log out. The system will not automatically save your time record, and this will avoid you having to re-enter your work. Here is a sample of what your entire time record will look like. You can see here the accrual period and change period box in the upper left-hand corner. The far left area is where your recorded hours worked will be shown. Again, always work from left to right when you're entering your hours worked. The far right of the screen is where your charge time will appear. And the middle gray line will show your week 1 totals. And the bottom gray line shows your week 2 totals. Directly below that, your payroll period totals for the entire 2 weeks. Your accrual balances will appear in the bottom right-hand box, and these are up-to-date totals as of your time record. And on the bottom of your screen, you will see the Save Time Record and Submit to Supervisor buttons. Multiple in and out entries. You may have the need to have multiple rows for recording one day's work. This would occur if you came and went from work multiple times in a day and needed additional spots for entries. For example, if you had lunch as well as 2 separate doctor's appointments within the same day. If this were the case, you would click on the plus sign directly next to the hours worked fields, and this will populate additional rows of boxes for you to enter your time in and out. Entering extra time worked. If you work extra hours in addition to your normal work schedule, there are different ways to enter those hours. If the extra time is not connected to your regular shift, add another row using the plus sign located to the right of the hours worked fields. For example, if your shift ends at 5 p.m., but you come in again from 7 to 9 p.m. on the same day, this feature should be used. Entering extra time work continued. If the extra time is connected to your regular shift, for example, coming in early or leaving late, you can enter your time in and out as you normally would, indicating the early in time or late out time. The example you're seeing shows the record of an employee whose regular shift is 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., but they worked extra time from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. You can see that on Wednesday, 3/16, they entered 6 p.m. as their out time, and it gave them the additional 2 hours. Recording time off. Let's talk about this, as everyone I'm sure is eager to learn how to do this. There is a lot of information covered in this section, which we'll cover in the next couple of slides, so bear with us. All accrual usage or time missed from work is entered through the Request Time Off link located under your name. All requests must be made in quarter-hour increments, 0.25, 0.5, 0.75, and 1. For scheduled time off, requests can be entered in advance. And for unscheduled absences or partial day absences, where the exact amount of time missed may not be known until your return, we suggest that requesting time off in SUNY HR TAS should be done upon your return. In general, the process for receiving approval for time off should be discussed with your supervisor. This system does not override any request off processes currently in place. For example, asking your supervisor in person, sending an email calendar request, or sending an email in writing. Using the request time off screen, it is really important to make sure you're requesting your time off for the right time period. Once you click on the request time off link, you'll be taken to a monthly calendar. Make sure the correct month and year are showing on your screen. If they are not correct, you will need to change them by clicking on the links you see here. Requesting time off, a single day request. Remember, time off is recorded in quarter day hour increments. If you're using multiple types of accruals on a single day, only one entry, including all accrual usage, is to be made. For example, if you are charging comp time and vacation time, you would include it all on the same screen. When submitting a time off request that includes sick leave, the system will ask if it was scheduled or unscheduled. You are required to answer this question. Failure to provide this information will prevent your supervisor from being able to approve the time off request and time record. If you want to save your work and are not ready to submit your request to your supervisor, simply click on the Save button. Keep in mind you will have to submit the request to your supervisor at a later date. If you are ready to submit your request to your supervisor, after you ensure that everything is correct, click Save and Submit. Your request will then go directly to your supervisor for approval. Requesting time off for a multiple day request. To start a multiple day request, click on the first date you are requesting off. A time off request screen will pop up like you saw on the last slide. At the top right, click on the Show Multi-Day button. On the multiple day leave screen, enter the end date of the leave. This date must be within the same 2-week time record period as the beginning date of the leave. If your absence will extend beyond the end of the time record period, a separate time off request must be submitted for the following time record period. If you have different amounts of leave within the same week, this feature cannot be used. For example, if you are taking 4 full days off and 1 half day, you can enter the full days as a multiple day request as long as they are consecutive. The half day would need to be entered as a single day request. In addition, if you are planning to use different types of accruals over the multiple days, this feature cannot be used. In order to use the multi-day request, the same type of accruals must be used each day. For example, they must all be vacation or all sick time. The system will not charge you for weekend days unless you are typically scheduled to work on the weekend. So for example, if you take Friday to Wednesday off, you can use the multiple day request. If a holiday falls within the period of requested time off, 2 entries must also be made. The first should be for the period prior to the holiday and the second for the period after. Please make sure to exclude the actual holiday itself. If the holiday is included in the requested date range, accruals will be charged on the holiday. For example, if the 4th of July fell on a Wednesday, 2 entries must be made if the entire week was taken off, 1 entry for Monday and Tuesday, and another for Thursday and Friday. If you do not separate your entries, the system will charge you an actual accrual day for the holiday on Wednesday. Non-chargeable leave and FMLA. Certain absences do not require a charge to your accruals. These are considered non-chargeable absences. To record this time off of work, you will need to use the Request Time Off screen. Indicate the number of hours that day should be non-chargeable leave and select the reason. Non-chargeable leave at this time should be used for jury duty, cancer screenings, civil service exams, just to name a few. For all non-chargeable leave, appropriate documentation needs to be submitted HR to support usage. Leave without pay should also be indicated as a non-chargeable type, and total hours should be entered in the lost time column. Please reach out to time records as soon as you know you are taking leave without pay, so it can be processed on time. Workers' comp is also listed as a non-chargeable type. If you have a comp case, please reach out to time records to discuss how to record your time. Employees on an approved FMLA leave will need to indicate FMLA usage under adjustment reason for each absence related to FMLA. If you have any questions about how to record non-chargeable type leaves, please contact time records for assistance. And as always, remember to hit save before leaving the page. Saving a time off request. For future planning purposes, you can save a request. Select the Save button at the bottom of the request. Only you can see the request, as it will not go to your supervisor until you submit it. When the request is saved, it will appear on your calendar with an S next to it. Submitting a saved request for time off. So let's say you save a time off request and now you'd like to submit it to your supervisor for approval. First, you'll have to go to the Request Time Off link located below your name. Once on the Request Time Off screen, go down the page to the Previously Submitted Leave Request section. Find the request that you would like to submit. Click on the button to the right that reads Submit Actions. Saving and submitting requests for time off. If you know you are definitely requesting time off and know the exact amount of accruals to be charged, you can click on Save and Submit instead of Save. This will both save your request and send it to your supervisor for their review. After submitting a request for time off, once you have submitted your request to your supervisor, it will show on the monthly calendar with a P for pending next to it. If your supervisor approves a request, the P will change to an A for approved, and those hours will then show up on your time charge section of your time record once the date is current. If the approved request is for a date in the future, it will not show until that date. If your time off request is denied, you must withdraw your initial request. You can then submit a new request if applicable. withdrawing or changing a request. If you wish to withdraw or change your request, you will need to go to the Request Time Off page by using the link under your name. Then, find the request you wish to change on the list and check the button that reads Withdraw. Then click on Submit this action. To change a previously submitted request, you must withdraw it and create a new one. Time off requests can be withdrawn after they are approved and if the entire time record has not yet been approved by your supervisor. After the time record has been approved by your supervisor, changes can only be made by contacting time records. Please make sure to check and double check your accrual amounts, types, and dates before submitting your time record for approval. Submitting your time record. Once the record hours section of your timesheet is completed and all time off requests have been submitted to your supervisor, you can submit your timesheet. To submit, check the box next to I certify that this time report represents the correct accounting for a specific period and click the Submit to Supervisor button. These items are located at the bottom left of your time record. Your timesheet is now pending and waiting for your supervisor to approve. If you get an error message, please review it and see if any adjustments are necessary. The message located on the bottom right corner of your screen is what you will see if your full schedule is not accounted for. Please note that time records must be submitted in date order. If you are submitting a time record late, please be sure to submit the oldest first. Viewing your time record history in SUNY HR TAS. To view prior time records, select the history link located below your name. Select the year you wish to review your records for from the dropdown and then select Load History. You can then select an individual record by clicking on the Details button. Your history is only available as of the date you started in SUNY HR TAS. Regular holidays. TAS assumes employees will not work on regular holidays and automatically generates a time off request for regular holidays. Please note this does not occur for floating holidays. When observing a regular holiday, leave the holiday blank. The system-generated request will account for 7.5 or 8 hours of holiday time for full-time employees. No additional action is necessary. If you work on a regular holiday, enter your hours worked by using the appropriate in and out fields. Next, please go and withdraw the system-generated request for that holiday by using the Request Time Off page. If you worked your full shift that day, you will be credited holiday time and no additional action is necessary. If you worked a partial shift, you must submit a request for time off against holiday credits for the portion of your regular shift that you did not work. Holidays will be highlighted on your time record once the date has been reached. For example, July 4th will not be highlighted until the day of or after July 4th on your time record. The system works in real time, so the hours will not count towards your total hours for the time period until the holiday is reached. Floating holidays. The system assumes that on a regular holiday you will not be working and on a floater that you actually will be working. In this system, there are two types of holiday accruals, floating and regular, so please be sure you're using the correct type of holiday when you generate a leave request. TAS will automatically credit you with the floating holiday accruals. If you work on a floating holiday, enter your hours worked. If you worked your entire shift, no additional action is necessary. If you worked a partial day, enter a time off request against holiday floating accruals or use other appropriate accruals for the remainder of the day. If you are observing the floating holiday, enter your time request using floating holiday or other appropriate accruals. You now have all the information you need to start using SUNY HR time and attendance system. And please refer to the instructions you received from time records regarding the date you should start reporting for in this system. Again, we are going to take a short break for any questions you may have. You can enter those questions on your dashboard in the lower right-hand corner. We're going to give a few minutes for people to type those in. However, if you come up with questions as you're using the system or if your question was not answered here, please email timerecords@albany.edu. You can also call the phone number 518-437-4715, and we will try to answer your questions as quickly as we can. These materials can also be found by going to the UAlbany website and searching for time records. Once on the main page, scroll to the bottom and the training materials will be there. This includes this recorded webinar and some employee and supervisor quick guides that are available in a more condensed option for you to just be able to review the quick notes on how to enter your time off. So at this time, we will wait for questions and we will start answering them as we get them.
We're getting some questions in, and I'll start answering them as soon as we have some more. But anybody that's attending the live webinar session that is a classified employee should start reporting as of November 29th. That would be the first day. I believe the record ends December 12th. So if you have not already attended the recorded training, this is your first time seeing this, please by the end of today, if possible, report for the period ending December 12th and submit to your supervisor for review. We have a question about how does an employee list what type of time they are using. Catherine reviewed this. When she clicked on the day in the time records calendar, it brought up a whole list. So you put the accrual charge, the 7.5 days, or the partial day, whatever portion it was, in quarter-hour increments next to the appropriate leave type. There was sick, vacation, personal, all of the normal types were listed right in that screen. So you would just be inputting next to the appropriate type. We have a question about what to do if the supervisor is out and unable to approve the timesheet. It depends how long that is. If somebody's out on an extended leave of absence due to disability or something similar, we can work with them to assign somebody temporarily who can approve their timesheet in that circumstance. If not, the supervisor also has access, and we'll go over that in the supervisor's portion. So your supervisor would be able to review and approve in your supervisor's absence. These materials, as Catherine mentioned, are all on our website. If you go to www.albany.edu/HR, there's an employee toolbox on the left-hand menu, and time and attendance is right there. Right on that main time and attendance page, there will be this recorded webinar, probably by next week, maybe later today, if we're able to do that. There already is a recorded webinar from a month or two ago. And there's some quick guides, there's this presentation, everything is already there. There's still another question about can't figure out where to find the place that we choose what type of accrual we are charging. Right on the main calendar in your time record, under your name, you'll find request time off. Click request time off, it'll bring up a calendar. Click on the day that either the 1 day absence is or the multiple day absence starts. And once you click on that, it'll bring up the screen where you can select what type you're charging. If you can't figure that out during this session, please email time records with what you're seeing on your screen and we can help you. We'll give a couple more minutes for questions. We have a question about please go over working a holiday or the difference between full day and half day. I'm not sure exactly what the question is, but again, these materials are available, so I would refer you back to the website to go to the slides, and it's going to be a good resource for you to have. Please note that in the PowerPoint, the agenda where it has a table of contents, those are all links, so you can click on holidays and it will bring you to the specific slides on the holidays. But I refer you to the written materials instead of us going over it again because it does not apply to everybody. And of course, if the holiday arrives and you have a question, you can always reach out to us when it actually happens and we can walk through it with you. All right, we're going to start the supervisors piece. If you have questions, I can certainly type answers while we're going over that. So feel free to continue asking questions throughout that portion.
Thank you, Marissa. Back to you, Catherine.
Okay, so as we just noted, this is going to be for supervisors of classified staff. Employees, you are still welcome to follow along. And we're going to walk you through how to use the system from the perspective of a supervisor. So much of the beginning is going to look the same. Logging into the system, you're going to begin at www.suny.edu/HR portal. We do recommend bookmarking this link, and also we recommend using Firefox or Chrome as your internet browser. Select Albany for the campus and log in with your UAlbany username and password. Please note, as a supervisor, you will also get emails notifying you that you have pending time and attendance items that require your action. These emails will be sent at night from do-not-reply@suny.edu. Again, that email is do-not-reply@suny.edu. And we suggest logging into SUNY HR TAS on a regular basis to review your supervisor roster, which we will go over how to get there and what that looks like. Accessing the time and attendance section. To access this, please click the time and attendance in the self-service section. It's located right there, and you can see it with the time and attendance with a pen and pencil in the cup. Once you are there, select your current employment role and then click on the time and attendance button. Next, click on the supervisor work roster. This is located under your name on the main screen. Here you can access your employees' pending leave requests. All pending leave requests must be reviewed before addressing any pending time records. To approve a time off request, simply click on the button to approve in the approve column and submit. If you need to deny a request, click on the button in the deny column. When denying a request, a comment must be entered as to why the request is being denied. Once the comment has been entered, the denial and comment will be sent to the employee. Please note, comments are permanent and cannot be deleted or changed once they are submitted. If the employee is charging any form of sick leave, you will also need to indicate if the absence was scheduled or unscheduled. Some additional important tips. When using the system, please use only one browser. Having multiple browsers open can confuse the system and cause errors. If you approve the leave request and it does not disappear right away, close out and check back the following morning. The system updates overnight. If you log back in and it's still there, please reach out to time records at albany.edu, as it may be a system error and we can get that fixed for you. Please never click approve for the same leave request twice. This will result in the system double charging the employee for the same leave request. Again, if you see that it's not disappearing, please reach out to time records at albany.edu so we can reach out to our contacts and get that fixed for you, as it might be a system error. Reviewing the time record. The pending time records approval section is the second section on your supervisor work roster. To review a classified employee's time record, click on the details link under their name. This will bring up the 2-week time record for your review. Review information in the record hours section to assure time in and out was entered accurately for all days worked. It is important to make sure that A for AM and P for PM are entered accurately to ensure that the correct number of hours worked are accounted for. Ultimately, it is the supervisor's responsibility to make sure that the time record is accurate. Review the summary section, specifically the week 1 and payroll period totals. Typically, these will be 37.5 or 40 and 75 or 80 for full-time employees, dependent on their schedule. Please note that we will be processing overtime that is indicated as earned on approved time records. Checking and double-checking hours work totals will help avoid incorrect overtime payments. So especially if those AM and PM hours are not indicated appropriately, that will result in extra hours worked and then eventually comp time or overtime. Lastly, review the time charge section for its accuracy. approving or denying the time record. If the time record is accurate, click on the approve button and the record will move from pending to approved status. If the time record is not accurate, enter a comment in the box explaining your reason for denying the record and click the deny button. The time record will be returned to the employee with a comment for correction. Again, please note that all in and out hours are accurate and all accruals are accounted for before approving any time records. If the employee has not submitted their time card on time or their supervisor has not approved it, the next supervisory level will receive a notification from that do not reply at SUNY.edu. So the system will escalate these emails to the supervisor of the supervisor if any action has not been taken that needs to be. Employee roster. The last section on the supervisor work roster is the employee roster. This lists the employees whose time records you are responsible for and provides you with links to access their time records information. If the ... appears under an employee's name, this indicates the employee is also supervisor within your department. If you click on the ... their supervisor work roster will be brought up, and you can review time records information for the employees they supervise. This is a helpful tool when employees you supervise have employees who are not submitting time records timely and accurately. And this feature can also be useful if a supervisor you oversee is out of the office and time records or time off requests need to be approved for their employees. You can also use this tool to check on the usage of employees who work directly under the employees you supervise. Okay, at this time, that is the completion of the supervisor portion of this presentation. We will be breaking for questions for supervisors if they have any, or employees if you're still on the call. You can also ask additional questions. If you still have them and they're not answered, time records at albany.edu is the best way to get answers for your questions quickly. Also, you can call the 518-437-4715. And as Marissa and I have both mentioned, all of these documents are also located on the time records website on the main screen. So we'll break for questions at this time.
So I've answered everything that we have, but feel free to keep typing. We're gonna hold off for a few minutes and we will respond to everything that we can. So if you have questions, feel free to enter them now.
Thank you all for joining us today. It seems we haven't gotten any more questions, but if you do come up with any additional questions, please feel free to reach out to timerecords@albany.edu, or you can see the phone number there on your screen. I'd like to thank our staff here, Marissa, Eileen, Catherine, thank you for being here with us today. And thank you out there for joining us to find out all of the new regulations and rules regarding your time and attendance and the new system we'll be using. We're going to end the session now, but as I mentioned, feel free to reach out if you have additional questions. Keep in mind the recording is going to be posted on the website, on the Time Records website, on UAlbany website in the Time Records section. So if you want to take another listen, you'll be able to do so then. And if you are listening to this as a recorded session, please keep in mind that these dates may not pertain to you that we mentioned today. And please refer to the email you received from Time and Attendance to find out the dates that do apply to you. Thanks for coming. Have a good day.